Hello everyone and welcome to the second video in my little International Scrapbook Day Weekend mini-series. This is video 2 of 4 where I have a process video every day this long weekend, each one featuring a technique, scrapbooking technique that I particularly love and is one of my favourites. Yesterday was fussy cutting and I will link that video if you haven't seen it, and today is all about watercolouring. So I'm using the Vicky Boutin Field Notes collection to scrapbook a picture of my beautiful mum, picture of her that I just love so much, and also Field Notes is one of those collections just sort of reminds me of her and makes me think of her. So yes, using watercolours in a couple of different ways. I'm going to start off using this stamp and die set. This is not from Field Notes, it's from another Vicky Boutin collection, like maybe her first, I'm not sure, but anyways, I am going to stamp those images using my Tim Holtz stamp platform and stamping with StazOn black ink, and then once those are all stamped down I'm going to watercolour all of those. Now it is a stamp and die set, but I actually find personally with stamp and die sets, like the dies cut too big around the stamped image. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind things with a little white halo or a little white edge around them or something, but with the stamp and die set sometimes it's just like it's just too big. So I actually fussy cut these, didn't use the die set dies that came with it, but that's by the by. So the watercolours I use, my absolute favourite watercolours to use are the Kuretake ones, Kuretake Gansai Tambi. Japanese isn't fabulous, that's probably wrong, so we'll just call them the Kuretakes. They are, I have heard people say that they're not technically watercolours for some reason or another, but whatever, I don't care. They are relatively inexpensive, at least in comparison to other ones, like, you know, the really big Faber-Castell, Winsor & Newton, Prima watercolours. They're very, very pigmented, and I just love them so much. I can't tell you colour names when I use these because I don't read Japanese, and there's numbers next to each colour, but then there's just Japanese, and I don't know what that says. It could even say numbers, who knows? But yes, I am just, going to use that to colour these images that I have stamped. With most of them, I'm like laying down a base colour, and then when it's still wet, like I add a little bit of an extra colour. Like with this butterfly, I've put down orange, and then I'm going to put bright orange around the wings, and then just use a watery brush to move that colour around a bit. I'm doing the same with this flower here. Like I put the light pink down, and then I'm just putting a stronger pink down and just letting the water move the colour. Like I'm not trying to be precise or anything. Like here when I put the yellow in the centre of the flower, I don't care if it gets into the petals or anything. It's just not an issue. And also because I knew I was going to cut these, it doesn't matter that I'm way going over the lines, especially like when I was painting the little leaf flourishes. I was like, I am not doing every individual leaf. I am too lazy, so I just sort of did a swash of green over them. Like when I'm with these two little phrases here, I'm just doing one swash of colour over those, and I'm just going to cut around those. So also in this collection, Field Notes, you get this sticker pack, which is stickers that are watercolorable, if you know what I mean. So they're really thick stickers, and yeah, you can paint them. So I've done the stamp and dies, well, not the dies but the stamps, and then I'm going to paint some of these watercolor stickers too. And I'm doing the same sort of thing, is like, you know, I put down one color and then I add like the heavier color after that. Sometimes if I want to add lighter color, I wait until it's drier to do that. I think I add some yellow to that green, but it gets lost because it was the dark green was very wet, so you can't really see that. And then like if you want to add white or something for highlights, you really need to do good words there, Grace. You really need to wait until it's dry, and sometimes even using the paint doesn't work. I like using a little a white gel pen if I want to add highlights, but that's totally irrelevant to this layout because I don't do that on this layout. But anyways, just finishing off with a little blue flower here, and then setting those aside to dry, I'm gonna watercolor this entire page, this wreath. So this is one of the papers that come with this collection. This was in the 12 by 12 paper pad, and I just really wanted to use it, is all there is to it. And obviously it's that watercolory peachy tone in the background, and then the wreath itself is just black and white, so you can colour it however you want to. I mean, I've seen lots of people work with this paper, and some people just do a bit of packaging technique just to put colour all over the place, or do spritzing, or even fussy cutting it. I decided to very much paint it as it is, like you would if it was like a colouring book or something. So each flower at a time and leaves and stuff. Obviously, I'm not, again, I'm not worried if I go over the lines, as it were, because it's just too much effort to worry about that sort of thing, and it just looks a bit more, not natural, that's not quite the word I want, but just looks a bit more relaxed, I suppose, when, you know, things are a little bit more going over the lines, as it were. So I did pink on those big flowers, then I've gone around with the little flowers and chosen a few to do blue, and then I'm going to go around again with this orangey colour here. I find it so much easier to do one colour at a time and then go back and add the other one. So once I've done all the orange flowers, and I did those in different tones as well. You can see some are quite a light orange and some are a darker orange. That's just a case of using different amounts of water. And then I'm going to go in with the yellow to make the rest of those flowers yellow. In case you're wondering, by the way, I choose not to use a water brush or an aqua brush. I just prefer to do it the old school way with brushes and a pot or a glass of water. I don't know, I've got nothing against aqua brushes. There's a time and a place for them for me. I just prefer to do it this way. I don't know why. And I do use the aqua brush sometimes. It's usually if I'm only doing a little bit of watercolouring and I'm too lazy to go and fill up a glass of water. That is the reason I use aqua brushes, when I'm too lazy to go get a glass of water. That really, really is it. But yes, anyways, I am now going around and painting all the leaves green. Now I am being very lazy, I will admit, with this layout. I'm not really mixing any colours. I mean, I'm mixing a little bit, like I might dip in one colour and then dip again in another colour, but not really mixing. So I did just use one green colour for all of the leaves, and then just to give them a little more depth. So I went round and filled them all in with the green, and then I'm going round again with a darker green, just like going around the edges of the leaves or at the base of the leaves, just, yeah, to give them all a little bit more depth and stuff. It just looks better when you do that, quite frankly. I can't think of any other way to phrase that. And then once I've gone around and added that extra depth to all the leaves, I was looking at it like, okay, it looks weird that I've done this on the leaves and not the flowers, so I'm going to do that on the flowers as well. So yes, once that is done, I'm using the same colours pretty much, just with less water on the brush, so there's a stronger pigment just to go around the flowers and stuff. And I'm still going around the leaves. Okay, now I'm doing the flowers. So yes, just adding heavier bits to the middle and to the edges of the petals. If it looks too blocky, if that makes sense, I just dip my brush in the water and then use that to sort of move it around a bit more. And I just think it looks a whole lot better when it's done like that. And again, I'm not fussed about, like, if I get some pink on a leaf or some blue on a pink flower. It's just, and I also knew as I was doing this that a fair bit of it, or some bits of it at least, are going to get covered up with the embellishments. Now, around the whole wreath, sorry, there's a load of little sprays, and I decided to just dot little bits of a pinky red around those. I could not be bothered to paint every single individual little tiny blossom or leaf on that. I was just like, no, that's just not happening. I'm just gonna dabble my brush over them, and it has the same effect, really. Now, I knew I wanted to put my picture, obviously, slap bang in the centre of this layout, so I just wanted something coming out behind it. So I'm just kind of doing this spray of yellow and orange and pink, because in the photo my mum's got this flower on her shirt that's those colours, so I'm just kind of reflecting that in this. You don't see much of this. I know it looks a bit weird and liney at the moment, but it looks a little bit better when it dries. I kept going back over it with water so it would blend more and more, but again, you only see a little bit of it once the photo and its backing is down. So when I'm cutting the photo here, I'm just leaving that tiny, tiny white border that came as it was printed, and then I backed it at first just with this scrap that's from the collection, and then once I had that down, I was like, it doesn't look quite right, so I decided it would look nice if I backed it with a couple of circles as well. So I went and I die cut the first circle, the yellow circle, and then I realised I'd used my largest circle die, and that was not going to work. Like, that was the largest possible one I had, and it was the smallest possible size to go under the photo. So then I had to get my circle cutter, basically, that's what I'm saying. I had to get my circle cutter to cut the next one. I think I cut that at about 5.5, 5.25. And then going around both the circles and the backing of the picture just with some Distress Oxide to help those stand out a bit more. And again, using all those sort of warm and bright colours that we've got going on with this layout. So on the green, I did Spice Marmalade Distress Oxide around the edge. On the yellow circle, I went with Picked Raspberry because that yellow and pink together is quite a big thing in this layout, and I'm quite enjoying it actually. Not usually colours I go for, but I enjoyed it quite a lot. And then around that sort of subtly creamy colour around the photo itself, I went in with Squeezed Lemonade, which is a bright yellow. And now here I have fussy cut all those little bits I painted earlier with stamps, and I'm just, obviously they're dry, and I'm just going to pop those down with some glue dots just all around the wreath, just to give it loads and loads of depth and dimension and stuff. And that's part of the reason I'm using the glue dots, sorry. But yeah, using those because they do add a little bit more dimension and lift those embellishments up just that little bit. Obviously it's not like using foam or something, they're a lot thinner than that, but yeah, just brings them up a little bit. Then I'm adding the little stickers as well, and I think it was shortly around this point that I realised I probably hadn't painted enough of those stickers, so I do go back and paint some more of those. Again, I'm adding those with the glue dots as well, just because the stickers, they're actually stickier than a lot of stickers you get in scrapbook collections, but they're still not ideal stickiness. Like, I didn't think they were going to last, so I have just popped those on as well with those. And then those two little phrases that I stamped and then sort of swashed paint over, I'm going to cut around the swashed paint kind of naturally where the brush lines are, just to make it look a little bit more natural and a bit more casual, so not doing like exact squares around them. And I've just glued those on top of the photo there. Here is me painting some more of the stickers. As I said, I realised I needed a few more, so I just very quickly did 2 flowers and 2 leaves, dried with my heat tool, which, fun fact, the sticky stuff on the back of the stickers gets really hot when you use a heat tool on it. So a little word of warning there, I found that out the hard way. So anyways, got those done. Again, popping those on with the glue dots, and they're just going on there. And I was a little bit happier then because, like, on the left side of the wreath there hadn't been as much stuff and it looked a bit uneven, so I just popped those on there. I added this extra little sticker from the sticker pack, sorry, because I just needed to balance out the words that were around the photo. But it was a partially clear sticker, and when I stuck it straight on the photo you couldn't see what it said because it's quite a dark photo, so instead I stuck it onto some white cardstock, cut around it, and then plopped it on the photo that way. And then here I'm just going to finish off with some splatters. So there's no mint on this page, so I wanted some of my splatters to be using a colour that's not on the page already, so that was a seagull if you heard that. So I'm splattering some of the mint colour, and then I'm going to go in with the pink. And I know there's pink already, but there's not much like strong hot pink on it, so that worked as well. I didn't want to go with purple because I just didn't think purple would go very well with this, but I thought the mint and pink were like different enough but also the same enough. Does that make any sense? Do you know what I mean there? Like, you know, they matched but they stood out at the same time. Anyways, finishing off, as pretty much always with my Nouveau drops, these are the jewel drops, the partially translucent ones in the colour Key Lime, which I think goes quite nicely with the whole nature, natural, flowers, butterflies thing. And there we go. Layout is complete. Watercolour layout complete. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will be back tomorrow on Sunday with another one. And yes, links as always in the description box below. Please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Yep, okay, that's all I have to say. I'm going. Thanks again. Bye!